Neil Thompson, founder of Teach the Geek. I work with technical professionals so they can present more effectively, especially in front of non-technical audiences. And you can learn more about that at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Also, remember to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Every little bit helps. I'd like to talk about ways you can actually, or avenues, venues that you can use to practice giving better presentations or giving presentations at all. The first one I want to talk about is Toastmasters. It's an international organization that has chapters all over the world. So there's likely a chapter in your area. And I think since the pandemic, many of them meet virtually now. So there really is no excuse not to join. And it's fairly inexpensive. Last I checked, I think it was $60 for 6 months, something like that, or maybe $120 for the year. But basically, it offers an excellent forum to practice your presentation skills, and you'll get feedback from others who maybe that might be a bit might be further ahead than you, or maybe at the same level as you. But when it comes to feedback, I'm always a fan of taking it in, but then running it through your own filter to figure out whether this is something you actually want to get better at. But at least you'll have that opportunity to give presentations and get that feedback. So there's one. That's Toastmasters, toastmasters.org if you want to learn more about it. The second one I can think of is user groups. In fact, I'm actually going to be giving a presentation next week at the VMUG Seattle UserCon one-day conference. It's in Seattle. Although I did say that in the title. It's in the title, so obviously it's not going to be in Houston. It's definitely Seattle. And I actually found out about it from being on a podcast. The host, after we did the podcast, thought that I'd be a good fit for some of these conferences, some of these UserCon conferences. And so I reached out and lo and behold, I'm going to be speaking at one of them next week. So that's another opportunity, another avenue to look into, just various user groups throughout the country that talk on various topics. Typically the UserCon has to do with software, IT, that type of thing. Although I'm going to be talking about presentation skills for engineers. And, they seem to think it's an interesting topic or a useful topic. So I'm going to be talking on that. So there's that. And then a third one I want to mention is podcast guesting. I actually made a video about getting on podcasts and the ways to do it. But it's an excellent opportunity to practice your speaking skills. And it's low pressure too, because you're doing it in front of a computer. You're doing it in the comfort of your own home or wherever you want to do the podcast. Oftentimes it's not even in face to face, in front of an actual person. It's in front of your screen. So you can make sure that you do it in comfortable surroundings, and you get the opportunity to practice. Well, you get the opportunity to practice listening. You would think that listening is just something that we naturally do, but many of us aren't that great at it. A lot of us, when we're in conversations, we're just waiting to speak. We're waiting for the person to finish speaking so that we can say what we want to say. But when it comes to podcasting, it's actually really important to listen to what the host says so that you actually answer the question that they ask. I mean, God knows how many podcasts that I've listened to when a guest will get a question and their answer has nothing to do with what the question was. Sometimes they may just go off on this tangent and then at the end of it say, what was the question again? I remember actually listening to a podcast where that happened. I just remember being so frustrated as a listener, thinking, why couldn't you just answer the question that was asked? And then if you wanted to add something after that, then you could do that. But at least you answered the question that was asked. And it boggles my mind. So that's a third one, getting on podcasts to practice speaking in front of others. And then the fourth one is, if this is not something you do already, it's talking to your team or your manager about what you're doing at your job. So basically, having meetings with your team or meetings with just one-on-one with your manager, setting those up to discuss what you're actually working on and really how it benefits the team and how it benefits the company. This is a great way to really, well, firstly, it shows what you actually do and how you actually contribute to the company. So you can show your worth to people that work at the company too. And maybe you might invite some decision makers to these type of meetings as well, so they know what kind of work you do and how you contribute to the company. So in the event of layoffs, they'll say, well, we can't lay that person off. Look at all this great work they've done. If you're just some random name on a list, of people, then yeah, you very well may get the axe. But if these decision makers actually know who you are, maybe you get spared. And then when it comes to your manager, that's even better too, because oftentimes when it comes to layoffs, they're told, well, these are the number, you have to lay out a certain number of people from your group. And if that manager looks down the list and thinks, oh, I can't lay off this guy. I mean, look at all the great work he's done that he's told me about. And he's kept me abreast of all the things that he or she is doing. This person definitely has to stay. Maybe someone else has to go because they didn't bother to do any of that stuff. So those are the four that I wanted to mention. Is Toastmasters, it's user groups, it's being on podcast, and then setting up meetings with your team or your manager to talk about the things that you do at the company and how you contribute to the company. So hopefully those are useful in moving forward and just figuring out ways to practice and get better at giving presentations. Once again, my name is Neil Thompson, founder of Teach the Geek, working with technical professionals so that they present more effectively, especially in front of non-technical audiences. And you can learn more about that at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. One other thing I wanted to mention is that I also offer public speaking tips. So in the event that you want to get better with your public speaking, you can go to teachthegeek.com/tips to get those tips. Thanks. Take it easy. Have a great day.